Welcome back to Your Story Medicine. Today, I am with Tanai and Wesley, who work to educate, empower, and promote wellness from the inside out and outside in. They are the founders of the Salt Lounge Long Beach. And I remember being so freaking mind blown that there was spiritual entrepreneurs who happen to be people of color, who happen to be Black business owners in Long Beach, centering like energy healing. Like where the heck did you guys come from? And at that time I lived down the street, so it was like this affirmation that more of us are waking up to do this work. So healing and helping others has always been their passion. And with over 15 years of experience in the wellness and spiritual industry, the Holders, it's so freaking cute because that's their real last name. Okay. The Holders hope to uplift and empower all those who they come in contact with. So the Salt Lounge in Long Beach provides a space to rejuvenate and an opportunity to advocate for others in their self-healing journey. They are also Reiki Masters and Intuitives, and we'll dig deeper into the ways that they share with others how they too can step into this medicine. And they have personally seen the results of tapping into your power to change your life as well as those around you. Salt therapy has been essential to their own self-care regimen. And so if you're in the Long Beach area, come and check them out. But also, as many healers have had to pivot, actually, I don't like to say pivot, they expanded into the online realm, their platform has actually grown to be able to serve people beyond Long Beach. So we're going to dig deeper into that. Welcome, Tanai and Wesley.
Hey, thank you. We are happy to be here.
Yay! So, what are y'all celebrating about yourselves today?
Let me go first.
Yes.
I'm still celebrating the fact that we just got a babysitter, and that for me is
Yes, nanny in the house now. Hallelujah.
it's game changing. I mean, being parents is amazing. I love it. I'm the happiest dad ever. But just having an extra set of hands, I think, is really going to help us so much. So it's going to allow us to have a couple date nights. You know what I mean? I just got it all running through my head. So I'm celebrating that right now.
Yes. I'm celebrating just being able to. I think we've both gotten to this point at first when we started the Salt Lounge. We're like, all right, let's make sure everything is digestible. And you kind of like, we were ourselves all the time, but now it's like, I don't give a damn. Like, you're going to get whatever I have to offer. I'm going to come showing up my full self and like present. And I'm really enjoying that lately and just like really embodying, I feel like my true essence. I know Wes is going through that transformation as well. So I'm happy with that. We got gold teeth the other day, and we're like, we're gonna do meetings and readings like this because
What?
that's what we want and that's who we are. And so we're excited about that.
Wow, I remember being there. So wait, is this a pandemic baby?
Yes.
She.
Well, she was born a week before. So she has like
Oh.
lived through the pandemic, but not conceived during the pandemic.
Ooh. Well, I remember that.
Yeah, perfect timing. And I thought that it would be too much trying to balance like work and baby, but that really made me sit my butt down and both of us and just be present because I don't know, and that sucks to say, but I don't know if I would have been as present if this hadn't happened, all of it.
I know I wouldn't have. I mean, the day after our daughter was born, I was in the Salt Lounge doing Reiki sessions. You
I
know what
was
I'm
answering emails. I should have been nurturing and nourishing myself and my baby, but it was just the two of us. We had one person helping us at the time. So this really brought it all together and helped us create the family that we needed because I don't know what we was doing.
Yeah, and now the experiences that we got to share with our daughter and each other. I mean, our teamwork game is so different now. Like, you should see how we operate. It's just like we've grown so much during this pandemic as a family. And I think that's the most beautiful part about it. She would be in this podcast with us right now, but
It's Nana's day today. Yeah.
I'm celebrating y'all.
it's so cool because she has sat in on meditations, Reiki classes. I mean, at age 1.5, she has a pretty solid track record. And it's just because we've been all together for the past year and a half.
No choice.
Is she at the cashier? She's at the cashier now too, like crunching numbers, taking payments soon.
Yes,
Yeah.
she really is.
We'll get to that, but oh my God, I love it so much. And I just have to say that I have just, I've admired the ways that y'all just still chose to show up, because so many brick and mortars did not make it in these times. And not once did I see y'all go into, I mean, at least publicly, there was no panic mode. There was no like, okay, we need help. Y'all jumped straight into creation, your tarot decks, your online services. And so I'm actually really excited to learn more about how is it that you cultivated that energy to still show up when it felt like the world was burning down. And you're like, okay, we're here. Don't worry about it. Like, we're still showing up. So if we could take away your titles, and if we could take away y'all as business owners of the Salt Lounge, how is it that you would describe your medicine?
I would say, I wouldn't say being an example because I don't look at it like that. Like I have to live this way, but I'm just being me. And if you get a little bit of that and that helps you, then that's wonderful. But I'm just being true to me. And then I feel like the medicine is that people get to experience that.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I just look at it as being a vessel. If I could find a way to inspire, help you smile today, or just help you see your situation a little differently, I feel like I did my job. And that could be done through just walking past each other on the sidewalk or seeing each other at the park as I play with my daughter at the swing. I mean, it's just living life as organically as possible.
Yeah, because this is us 24/7. When we're at home, we're still meditating, we're still doing the work with each other and with ourselves. So nothing's really changed. It's just made it public as much as we could. But this is us all the time. So I don't feel like we're doing anything too differently. It's just figuring out how to make sure that it does what it needs to do in the business world or in the whatever it is.
This is so important to hear, because I feel like we're told this story that your business has to be separate from your personal life and who you are. And that's something that I've been struggling with myself. Like, oh, okay, when I'm working in my business, like that's when I have my CEO hat on. But then in my personal life, I have my family, I have my health, I have my wellness, and I can't bring in the personal uh, into this other area. And so I'm curious, how is it that y'all have been able to navigate boundaries between the business and your family and your own personal healing?
We definitely have boundaries. When we first started, we had cutoff times as far as like hours goes. Like at home, we try as much as possible not to talk about the Salt Lounge or anything. Sometimes we're like, no spiritual stuff. We've been meditating all day. Let's turn on some mindless TV and let's just like be us.
We try to intentionally be regular.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That's the thing. We're like, because we're doing this
Yeah.
24/7. But I feel like now, how I said, it's working backwards because before, because it's so intertwined, business would kind of dictate a lot of the things that we did. Like, oh, this
Mhm.
is what the business needs, or this is what a person who's a business owner, how they operate or how they dress or how they act. And like, it's like, no, bring it back to where it started. And this was about us and sharing that. And then it's going to trickle into the business. And if they like it, they like it. And if they don't, they don't.
One thing I found just on our journey as entrepreneurs is the more fun we have in our personal life, the more that rolls into the business. And so if we go somewhere and we're in, I don't know, Santa Barbara for the first time, we're exploring, trying the food, seeing the businesses, and now we have a new idea. And so that's something that we've learned just through time, because we were always taught, the harder you work, the
Yes.
grind, can't smile today, work today. But we found the more we take time to just laugh, have fun, and
When we
play.
rest and have fun, that's when we make the most money. Like when we're at home, we're like, oh, look at this rolling in, or look, the lounge is popping today. But we really realize the importance of our energy and how what we've manifested is like feeding off of that. And I didn't realize that after it's out, it's still connected to you. Like it's like your baby, it's still a part of you. So when we rest, when we have fun, business booms. But when things are a little slower, we're like, okay, what do we need to take a step back and like reflect on to see what needs to be tweaked, because something ain't right.
Wow. So a lot of this is actually energetics. And the added layer is that you guys are married, you're a couple. And I see so many relationships that get destroyed once people choose to go into business with each other. And and so I know a little bit about your guys' story, which it's like, okay, this is couple goals right here, Tanai and Wesley. And I think it's so easy to just believe that y'all have had it so easy, that you met, you fell in love, two spiritual beings who just like the ancestors orchestrated this to already happen, right? And I know it wasn't always this way. So share with us about, well, let's just start with your ancestral lineage. What is your ancestral lineage, and how has this influenced your medicine today?
Well, I feel like I get a lot of the medicine from my mom and my grandma, and they're all down south, those deep roots. My father's side, they're all Creole, so they have kind of like those deep roots as well. Um, but it really just started like spending a lot of time with my grandma. I knew she was into like metaphysical things. She never really said it outright, but I felt the energy there. She'd be like, look in the stars. And like, we would talk about things like that. And she was the only person that I could talk about that with. Come to find out later, after I'm grown and like all these things have developed, that people had all, my mom sees things and spirits, my grandma does too. And like that was able to, I guess, unlock that with them, but they definitely passed that down to me. Um, so we just kind of rolling with that, but we didn't talk about any of this stuff.
And that's kind of my story. My family and I, we never talked about any of this stuff. My family's West Indian, so I'm Trinidadian roots. And so one of the things that I learned through time was when my dad, he passed away when I was 18, right when I left for college. And it hurt so bad. I wanted to connect with him so bad that I was really just trying to find a way. I knew prayer was beautiful. I could pray and always, you know, get centered, but I felt like there was a little bit more to the healing that I needed. And so I found a place in Virginia Beach, where I'm from, called the Edgar Cayce Center. And I would secretly go to the Edgar Cayce Center and learn a little bit about metaphysics and learn a little bit about energy. Wouldn't tell anybody where I was going that evening. I just had somewhere to go. I had somewhere to be. And then I got my first reading there, and slowly I started learning more. And I said, you know what? I want to connect back with my dad. And so that was the fuel for me. And so
Yeah, but we had very similar backgrounds, both raised by single mothers, very like hardworking entrepreneurs, and our lives paralleled each other. But he was on the East Coast, I was on the West Coast. And
when we met, I was really digging deep into my journey. Tanai and I met college spring break in Miami.
Yeah, so this didn't start
Oh,
off as healers. We were like closet healers, but Wes, I always say, was a one night stand gone wrong because I married him. So it didn't really like accomplish what I needed it to. That was like my first one. And I was like, this is great. I'm going to do it. And so
we didn't think this would, we really thought we were just having a great time in Miami. I mean,
yeah, but we had an instant connection. It was like I knew him forever, and we just was catching up like old friends, talking mess to each other from the very beginning, and just flowing. We were holding hands. I'm like, what is this? But we just went with it. And my expectations was to never see him again. Like that's it. And it was a great time. And
like our literal last words to each other, we hung out all night, the whole day into the next day. Like it was like 24 hours together. And our final words was, hey, would you like a bagel or something before we part ways? No, I'm good. So, all right, nice meeting you. Gave her a hug. It was so awkward.
yeah,
Like,
it was like that was that.
all right, bye.
Yeah.
Then we just left. Like,
Yeah. So nothing, we felt the connection, but there was no like, hey, let's talk about all this deep stuff or do all these things. We're like, yeah, it'd be cool to take over the world one day with whoever we're with. And
I was learning like how to read palms at the time. So I was like, hey, let me see your palm. And
he was wrong.
I
He
was,
didn't tell the right, he didn't read the lines right. But I was like, okay, he tried.
yeah.
And that was that, I thought.
And mind you, I was secretly trying to learn and study this. So I didn't even feel comfortable sharing with anyone, hey, let me read your palm. You know what I'm saying? So it was just feeling comfortable with one another.
Mhm.
I think that's what the spark was. And then just learning and laughing. That's how I like to learn. So if I could laugh and learn at the same time, and I think our energies kind of fed each other what we needed and what we still need.
Mhm. And then, so yeah, I had dreams about him every single time I took a nap, I went to sleep, and it was regular things. It was like he's picking me up from the airport, or we buy a house, or all these things. I'm like, what? I left him in Miami. This is done. I don't know what you're doing, but this is over. And so the dreams kept happening. They happened for about 2 months. And we have a mutual friend. So I finally reached out and was like, okay, I need to talk to this person. And then when we got in contact, the first thing he said was, I had a dream about you. And then we talked every single day, and we were long distance, and then kind of got together and made it work. But the thing I feel like that brought us together, because it wasn't always easy with trying to communicate, and we're both fiery Aries, and like those tempers you got to get together because it was much different then, is that for our honeymoon, we sold all of our things and we went backpacking. And when you're in places where you don't have anybody else and people don't speak the same language, you have to rely on each other. And that wasn't pretty all the time. We definitely argued and had to learn to communicate in ways that worked for the both of us. And also had to learn that we need to make ourselves happy, even though we're in this situation. Like, I'm responsible for my happiness and he's responsible for his happiness. Because there was a point during the trip where he was like, I'm doing everything, and like, we're in Italy right now and you are not happy. What is going on? And I realized, like, okay, I'm just not happy. So how can I be happy? And then we can be happy together.
And that is actually kind of the formula that spiraled into our business, going back to like, when we're happy in our personal life, the business flourishes even more. So that's it on even a micro, you know what I'm saying? If I'm taking time to practice self-love and nurture myself, then I have enough juice, enough energy to give my wife a massage. And now we're both being intimate and we're both having a great evening. But it starts with me making time to shave my head today, or listen to a podcast, or whatever I got to do, ride my bike. And so I think that's the thing. It starts all within. It all goes back within.
And we're very honest with each other, even when it's uncomfortable. And we have to have those difficult conversations. It's like, you're going to hear this, I'm going to hear this, and we're going to talk through it. So I feel like that trickles into the business and just life in general, because it's like we're showing up as ourselves and being vulnerable.
But I mean, I'll keep it real with you. Like, it didn't start like this at all. I know we're going to talk about the deck, and I mean, just touching on like both growing up single parent households, we had a lot of money issues. Like, it's not like all this was a cakewalk. When we first moved in together, I'll tell you how petty we were. Now, these are two Aries right here, so don't even judge, right? But we were so petty, we took turns paying for groceries. So it was like, you know, we first moved in, I had my budget, she had her budget, and
then penny pinch on the time where it was your time. It's like, all right, we just gonna eat this time, but
we didn't know how to live together. Like, we were listening to our heart, but it's not like we could call someone and ask, hey, how do you live with your partner? It was really just
no examples.
So, I mean, the money issues, it took us years to heal, but it wasn't until we healed it, that's when things started to flourish for us. I mean, it got to a point where, you know, I'd buy groceries, and then next week Tanai buys the groceries, but she's mad because her groceries was $10 more than mine's last week. I can't control that I got a sale when I grocery shop. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just so stupid. But communication, being patient with one another. These are all things that we had to learn through the years.
Yeah, definitely didn't start here. I was dancing on tables. He was buying me shots and being a wild man. And here we are.
Oh my gosh. Well, and I also know that you did check off the boxes of what we perceive to be successful. Because I remember, did the both of you work in Vegas at one point? I remember, well, we don't have to name the company, but
Yeah.
say it
Both had
again.
jobs. I was working at both at Fortune.
Yeah, we
500.
both work for Fortune 500 companies. We're making our dream income.
Mhm.
And I tell people what was interesting was I had everything I wanted on paper. Beautiful spot on the Vegas Strip, beautiful girlfriend, making money, but internally I felt empty. I couldn't figure out what it was. And I went back to early years of life when I was in college and struggling. And when I was struggling, all I had the money for was something on the dollar menu. Now I'm in the corporate world making a ton of money, but all I had time for was something on the dollar menu. And so I'm like, what's going, I'm still eating this damn dollar menu food. Like, what am I doing wrong here?
Let's not even talk about that dollar menu.
Yeah, it was bad. But to fast forward, it was interesting to see how when we disconnected from what life tells you success is, or people rather tell you what success is, and we just went internally, that's where we were able to find the abundance we needed to get us to where we're at today.
Yeah. So checking off the boxes is not the wave unless that's really, really what you truly want. But just doing what you're supposed to do, like that's not going to feed your heart and spirit.
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So where was the transition then from, okay, so y'all met in Miami, which Tanai, you can officially say you did have a one night stand, even though it turned into a marriage. Check that off the box.
She had her hot girl evening.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you had your long distance relationship, eventually came back together, both ended up getting thriving jobs in Vegas. And what was the point where you looked at each other and said, this is not the way? And what was that like, especially with your family and your friends, when you chose to take this leap of selling everything and traveling without any plans of what was going to happen next?
It was definitely a gradual process. So I quit my job first and I would just go to work every day and literally cry at my desk. Like I couldn't do it every single time I went. And I would hear like, it's not time yet, but just a little longer, just a little longer. Until one day I went and had a full-blown panic attack. And that had never happened to me before. And I was like, okay, something is not right here. I was doing a lot of yoga then. So I was really focusing on myself, meditating, just all mind, body, and spirit. But I still had this corporate job. And on paper, it's like they were named the happiest place to work, like right up there. So it's like if you're not happy here, you're not gonna make it because you are one of like the top happiest place to work for. And so
She was the youngest manager in the company. I mean, like, she
yeah.
inspired me to get a management job. And so, seeing Tanai go through this, like every day, just seeing her crying
I
and
remember one day
sad.
you were just like, how'd your day go? And I was like, it was fine. And then I just busted out crying. I'm like, what happened? I like felt like a outer body experience. Like, look at you, girl. Like, what is going on? You just said you were happy, but you're not. So one day I just prayed about it and I was like, all right, like, Lord, tell me, like, I know this is not for me. And if it's not for me, he was sleeping. I was like, I'm gonna wake this man up. And if he can support me and just figuring out, like giving me some time to breathe and figure this out, then I will just follow like whatever I'm supposed to do. So I woke him up and I was like, I cannot do this anymore. Like, please, like, is it okay if you just hold us down for a little bit and I will get it together? And he said yes. And I quit immediately. I went in and I was like, all right, this is my last day. I'm sorry. No 2-week notice. Like, I won't be back here. I don't need the reference. Like, I'm out of here.
And
And
this
then
was
it
like,
happened for
yeah,
you.
this was like right after we talked about how the pettiness was just healed. Like we just started healing our pettiness with ticking off every dollar. So,
I was going to ask about that because I'm like, okay, you were making a lot of money, yet you were still switching off on who pays for what.
So that mindset.
yeah,
And the minute I quit my job, his money doubled.
like instantly.
Mhm.
I was in the car business. So, yeah, I just automatically became like top 10 at the car dealership. And then the following month, I was number one in the dealership. Then I blink, I'm number one in city of Las Vegas. And it was crazy. And so, that
Like
was a
we're
huge
forced to work
lesson.
together.
Yeah, it was.
And so then he experienced the same thing. He started going to work and he started going through the transition. I'm like, oh my gosh, if he goes out, what we gonna do? Like, what is happening?
I would
And
I
yeah,
would be watching Sports Center, having my breakfast, And then all of a sudden I just bust out crying. And like, I didn't want my girlfriend to see me crying. Come on, let's get it together, right? So wipe my eyes off. Oh, babe, I'm good. Thanks for breakfast. I'm all right. Go to work, get to the lunchroom, and
I recognized it because
yeah.
I was just there.
And then I'd start crying throughout the day, and it was just build up, build up, build up.
And so we were planning to get married. We had a destination wedding, and I was planning the honeymoon. And I was like, I would start joking, like, what if we just never came back? What if we just went, because we were going to Bali? What if we just went and we just stayed there? What would happen? What would that look like? And he was like, girl, we cannot do that. What do you mean?
Right.
We
I
cannot
laughed
do
so hard.
And then that joke got a little more serious. I'm like, well, if we did stay there, it's not quite as much as you think it would be. And so I was like, we could do this. And I planned the whole thing. And then I had like a whole full proposal for him. Like, hey, we can really do this if you want to. And it would start off our marriage in a great way because we would be in a like very spiritual place and all these things. And he said yes. And then we just got that process started. And the things we learned on that journey, we thought like, oh, we can always come back to this, always come back to our corporate jobs. Like we have the experience, but that changed us forever. Just seeing the way people lived and how they were so present and the things they ate, it changed us inside and out. And that's kind of like when it all started.
We had opportunities to learn with monks at the top of like the Buddha tooth relic overlooking Southeast Asia. I mean, there was so many experiences that filled us up so much internally that, you know, coming back to the States and going back into the corporate world, it was impossible. And I think that's when the struggle really began, because when we did come back into the States, we had to figure it out. I'm driving Uber. Tanai's trying to figure it out. You know what I'm saying? We were just doing DoorDash, Instacart, Amazon.
Any side job you can think of, we did, trying to hang on to our freedom. We were even doing, what the heck is it called? Like translating for the hearing impaired.
Wow.
But we knew it was a part of the journey. So we would be doing our deliveries. We were delivery people at the end of the day. So shout out to everyone working for Amazon. I know the struggle. I've been there 5 a.m. trying to find an address. We know. But we would be in the car and talking to ourselves as if we were business owners. So we would say stuff like, you know what, one day we're going to be buying our staff Cafe Rio for lunch. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait. Or we'd talk and say, you know what, we're going to buy our staff this at our holiday party. We would just constantly put that out there into the universe and constantly feel that energy while we were 5 a.m. trying to find these addresses.
Right, knowing that this is not who we are. This is just our current situation. But one day it's going to be something different. And soon we made our way to Long Beach. We had learned Reiki and just picking up all the tools. And people were starting to see what we were doing. And we had a family friend, and I just asked her one day, I don't know what made me, I was just like, you want to invest in us? Like, I know that we are going to help people, and the things we're doing is already helping and changing things. Do you want to invest in us? And we'd already been manifesting our space. We're going to teach here. It's going to have these flowers in the front. It's going to do this. And she said yes. And we were working until we got our funding to do it. And the day we opened the doors, I got laid off from the job that I was at. And that's kind of just how it went.
Yeah.
Just all trust and knowing that nothing's permanent. We can shape our reality and we can make the life that we want. And it's been going pretty good.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So, and I feel like many of us have this revelation as well when we travel. I'm like, what the heck? I feel like it's sometimes it's cheaper for me to actually travel than it is to stay in one place, at least here in the United States, because then I'll be up in my head and then I'll supplement my feelings of lack for material things that I'm not even going to use. And then it's when I travel, it's when I'm like eating street food, it's when I'm staying in like less than $20 a night hostels where I actually feel the most abundant. And then of course there's that wake up call, that reality of like, dang, I got to figure out how I'm going to keep this life going. And yet I feel like y'all quantum leaped in a very short time span from your time in Miami to Vegas, to traveling the world, to to doing these delivery services, and the next thing you know, opening the doors to your brick and mortar. And I think I was there for the grand opening with the balloons, and I was like, these people know exactly what they're doing. And I don't know many people. I know, like you're saying no, because I'm like, I couldn't tell at all. I mean, it is a beautiful center that you guys have created, and you just feel the frequency, you can feel the abundance, you can feel the love every time you step into the salt lounge. And I also feel like, because we've been talking a lot about metaphysics, and it's something that I am starting to dig deeper into, because we talk about the law of attraction and we talk about manifestation, but we don't talk as much about how there is actually workings happening not in this realm. And I feel like you both have been able to tap into this other dimension with the work that you've done. Tonight I've received Reiki healing from you, and a Akashic Records reading, and you've traveled back to my past lives, or I'm just like, what the heck, where is this coming from, and how is this informing my life path today? So for people who are new to metaphysics, how is it that you would break that down, and how is that different, you feel, from how we talk about the law of attraction or manifestation?
Well, energy is in everything. Everything in everything, and you and me all around us is what connects us. And you can call it spirit, God, whatever you want to, but you cannot deny that there is this energy that connects us, and we can feel each other and all of those things. So I think when you think about metaphysics, it's really tapping into that energy to see how, one, what's lying there. And you can, I guess in a way, the best word would be like manipulate it to work in your favor or work with you in alignment with the things that you want to attract. Because we can have any life that we want. I can decide to be a stripper one day, or I can decide to be a healer another day. It doesn't matter. I can decide the
And you can be both.
you can both.
Strippers are healers.
Time, yes. You can be doing it at the same time. And so deciding what I want to do with that energy and how I can use it to raise my vibration. And so you can do it in different ways through Reiki. You can do it through the Akashic Records, how you can explain. And it's just really connecting with yourself and source to communicate what you want. I would say that's the example of that.
Absolutely. I think there's something beautiful about energy because we live in the realm of free will. So like Tanai mentioned, you really have the opportunity to do whatever it is that you want to do. But when you take time to just study life, like for example, what is it that makes a flower bloom, right? What is it that makes a tree produce apples? What is it that makes a toddler go from this big to an adult? There's a magic behind that. And so when you take time to start exploring that magic, that's where the essence lies. A lot of us feel like it's so far and distant to become a healer, but you're already a healer. I just told this story to a guest at the Salt Lounge the other day. You've already done a Reiki session on yourself. It's like, what's Reiki, Wes? What? I don't know. And I explained, I said, think of a time when you were a child and you had a headache and you just took your hands and placed it over your head, and then your headache went away. Or a time where you've had a stomach ache and you just took your hands and placed it over your stomach, and then your stomach ache went away. This is Reiki, but when you work with a trained practitioner, we're able to use that energy, help remove blockages, help expand that energy, and really help you, raise your vibration. And so it's already instinctively inside of all of us. It just is again, the realm of free will. Do you want to tap into that or not? And so that's like the simplest way. It's not as far and distant as so many of us make it think it is.
Right. Put your hands
Yeah.
over your heart and just feel. You're already doing it.
And this is not to say like you can only, like, Reiki healing is better than going to the doctor for your healing. But I feel like one of the things that I have learned from you tonight in the times that we have shared space is that there is oftentimes, more often than not, an emotional attachment to a lot of the physical ailments we may be experiencing. Because I remember I was telling you I was having knee pain, and you were like, which knee is it? And do you remember what you said? It was something about like what my knee was actually trying to tell me.
Depending on the knee, it can be either compromise or it can be stubbornness. And the body is connected to the emotions, and your body's always trying to communicate to you. So I never feel like your body's trying to punish you, like, oh, I have a headache, or oh, my stomach hurts, or my knee. Is saying, hey, there's something out of alignment here. And if you pay attention, we can communicate with each other, and we can get you back in alignment with where your heart wants to be, because it's always getting you where your heart wants to be, or where you need to be, and what's going to work in your favor. So if you're having that stubborn knee, it's like, okay, what are you being stubborn about? Where in your life can you switch some things around so that you can be your happiest? You can live your best life. And through energy, you can, one, get to the root, and then you have the ability to raise the vibration of the energy that's in your knee at that moment, so that you're feeling good again, and you got your message, and you can go about your day.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Mhm.
energy, emotion, and emotion is energy in motion. So it's just really
Hmm.
taking time to just say, okay, what is it that this body that I'm in is trying to share with me right now?
And I do think um, Western and Eastern medicine should work together, because Reiki is an Eastern medicine tradition. Because there are some things that just in the world we live in that you need in your body, or you need to, I would say, get further analysis on to support your Eastern side, or your Reiki, or whatever it is that you are going to to heal for yourself. But I feel like Reiki or things like that empowers you to do what you, to tap into your spirit and do what you need to on a deeper level.
Yeah. And I actually never had an Akashic record reading until you offered it to me during our Reiki session. So for folks who are skeptic about what that is, or for folks who are completely new, how would you describe it, and how has digging into your own records supported you with your own quantum leaps?
You wanna take that one?
Sure. So the Akashic Records is really cool. A lot of us make it seem so deep, and I mean, it is really deep. It's the realm where all lifetimes are stored. So think of like a library, and you have your own file, and
Or
it
iCloud too.
okay, iCloud, yeah. So think of it like iCloud. So all your past lives are stored there, all your future lives are stored there. And so going into this realm, it allows you to explore this. Now, what's cool about that is a lot of the issues and traumas that we are experiencing in this lifetime stem from a previous lifetime. So when we're in the Akashic Records, it's not just to like hang out and party, it's to do some really deep healing work. An example of a trauma that you might have experienced in a past lifetime that's affecting you now is, let's say, for example, you walk in the room and automatically you just can't stand this person, and this person can't stand you. You haven't said a word to each other, you don't know each other, but there's just a feeling of betrayal, distrust. I mean, there's just all this tension. This might be an example that the two of you have had an experience in the past life where you haven't quite been on the same page. We see this with family members. There might be a relative, a certain family member where your family, your blood, but for some reason, there is just so much tension, so much friction between the two of you. A lot of times, this is a trauma from a past life. And so when we're in the Akashic Records, we're able to see the root of this trauma and then heal that trauma. So you don't have to experience that any longer in this lifetime.
One of my favorite things about hanging out in the records is that you actually have access to your spirit team, or you have your loved ones who are here to assist you in this moment of your life. So also, it's not a deep thing where you're like in a super trance. It's a prayer that you say, you go into a meditative state, and then it's like, oh, hey, grandma, I hear you. Like, I hear you clearly. Or you have your angels or guides there to assist and say, hey, at this point in your life, this is what we need to focus on. And if you focus on this, these are the things that can transpire. And also a great way to tap into your creativity. So a lot of the things that we create, we might go in and think, okay, I would love to do this, but can you help me refine this, or give me what the collective needs so that I can deliver this to them as a gift to the world? And you'll get a full download of, hey, this needs to happen. And it's so cool to experience, because it's like, wow, you really do have access to like this divine source and all this creativity, and it can happen in an instant.
Yeah, it's all within us. And so it's really just taking that time to just go within.
Yeah, I love like
Yeah.
going to understand myself more too. So if you are having an issue with money or issue with love, or when we aren't understanding each other, it's like, all right, let's hop in the records and see how we can, what is the root of this? Why are we not connecting, and how we can fix this? And they give it to you real. Your guides connect with you in the way that you understand. So mine are a little harsh. Sometimes I'm just in there crying, but I get the honest truth because that's what I need to hear. I don't need the fluffiness. And
Mm.
same goes for Wes as well.
Yeah, and as intuitives, I feel like oftentimes it can get very challenging to shut it off. And so not only do we need boundaries in this realm, but we also need to place boundaries within the spiritual realm. And I've heard this from many people who are still tapping into their gifts. Like you can be at a grocery store and suddenly, whew, you can feel someone else's ancestors or guides or spirits just like channeling through you. And it's like, I'm not on my work schedule right now. So, what has that been like for you? Because I know that, I mean, like when you're talking about tapping into the Akashic Records, I don't know how to tap into my own, but that's where I would go to you to either one of you to be that vessel. So, how is it that you create those boundaries?
At first it was scary because you would hear certain things, feel certain things, and it wasn't till I started setting boundaries. I'm like you said, like I'm not working. Leave me the hell alone. Like
It's just clear boundaries, just
yeah,
like that. Or
because they're just like us, except in another dimension.
yeah,
So
it's like, I don't want to do this today. I don't want to feel this. And so when
yeah,
I go outside, I picture like a bubble around me, and I feel that's perfectly fine. It's like, I just want to be human and have this human experience. I don't want to feel this. I don't want to feel your mess. I'm sorry you're sad, but this is not the time unless I'm specifically divinely guided to be like, this is what you need to share, or this is what you need to do. But if I'm not, I've learned my lessons in like respecting other people's journeys as well. And so I'm not doing nothing that I am not divinely guided to do, because like we said, we do this for a living. You're not going to go doing a podcast 24/7, like all day, every day. You have your times, you have your schedule, and you stick to that.
yeah.
And it just works the same. And spirits or whoever, whatever, they respect your boundaries.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool to set these boundaries, because when you do set the boundaries, they respect your boundaries, and when your office hours are open, that's when all the downloads come in. It's like, all right, let me get my pen and paper. All right, slow down. Let me get this. And so, but you have to set the boundaries, and it starts by protecting your energy. And that's one thing we're teaching our daughter now, because she's so small and she's so intuitive, that if you come to the house and you're having a bad day or it's been a really rough day for you, she just does this and pokes her lip out
Yeah.
and sees it all. And so
We tell everybody, show up right.
she's a Pisces also, so that full moon, it hits different for her. Like it's a lot. And seeing it on a baby, we're teaching her now how to protect her energy. But that's my advice for everyone who's just growing spiritually right now, because you are expanding your awareness. And so part of the journey is you will feel a lot of other people's trauma, pains, emotions as you're in the grocery store, as you're at work. And this could be really, really intense at times. And so just call in your angels and ask your spirit team to just set some boundaries and protect you. And that should really help you.
Yeah, I'm always calling in folks from the other side. I'm like, please, like, protect me from this. I'm not trying to feel this right now. Get me through this experience. And when I get home, I will do whatever you ask me to do. But right now, this is not the time. I'm just trying to have a Slurpee or something. Like, I'm just trying to and do what I'm trying to do. But also, what we've learned a lot lately is that the things you have around you, being intentional about your space, raises your vibration. So in turn, some things can't even interact with you in that way unless it's raised to your vibration. So what I mean by that is the clothes you wear, the things you adorn your body with, your actual home, making sure that that is up to your standards and is of the highest vibration, so that you don't get people randomly knocking on your door, people, or just things that that don't align with you getting your attention.
Yeah, I'm in the process of decluttering right now. And when I was first doing it, it just, I had to take out everything I had and I had to look at it, and I didn't want to do anything. I was just like, I'm not worthy. This is way too much for me to handle. But as I just started picking up one thing and another thing and starting to just like place them into new homes, suddenly I felt like I could breathe. And so it was just this beautiful lesson that, okay, before I can actually manifest the things that I'm calling in and into my life, I have to really look at what it is I already have that is in front of me and give myself permission to feel the discomfort before being able to like gently let it go, because I feel like there's tendency to spiritually bypass that work, looking at our shadows, looking at our wounds, right?
Mhm.
So tell us about why the Salt Lounge, because we talked about Reiki, we talked about Akashic Records, we are going to dig into the decks, but where does salt come into play?
That was one of the things that helped us the most when we got back from traveling. So we tried to go back into those jobs and we were very stressed out immediately. And when we would come home, Wes was reading about all the benefits of salt and like ingesting it, the minerals, or just it being around, it transforms negative energy into positive energy. And so we had two salt lamps, which we still have today, and they're still on our nightstands. And we would turn those on, and every night we would just feel like, like just exhale. And then we went to a salt cave and we felt the benefits of just sitting in a room full of salt. And it's great for cleansing your energy and your respiratory system and all those beautiful things. And Wes's mom, thank God, being like a little nosy, she was like, let me get all the details on how to do that. Where do you get your salt from? Like asking the guy all these questions. And I'm like, you cannot ask him that. But thankfully she did, because we were trying to find a way of like, what's going to get people through the door to access this spiritual stuff. I know a lot of times they're not just going to come and say, this is what I'm looking for, but you'll absolutely sit in a salt room where you can relax and you can understand that this is going to help me chill the hell out. And so once you're in here, then you have access to all these other services around you. So that was kind of like our gateway drug into spirituality for the community, because we felt the benefits and we knew that just that alone would help everybody else. And I love it.
Yeah, I love it because it helps you physically. A lot of us, I mean, we can heal physically, we could heal emotionally, we could heal so many different ways, but hopping into the salt room, it's just physically, it clears your energy. And you could even look at the history of salt. Salt dates way back thousands of years. It's been a part of our civilization for centuries. It's not anything that we discovered. This is something that has been here longer than all of us. But they use salt to, shamans would use salt to just clear people's energy. They would just throw salt at you. Going into the ocean, salt water. We go to the ocean and we feel that
Yeah.
clearing energy. They even used to use salt to preserve meat when they didn't have refrigerators. You know, cavemen, they would put salt on their hunt for the day. And so, you know, salt has been used for so long that, you know, it's nothing new. But I'm just glad people are now aware of it. They're feeling the benefits. They're wanting to go back to some of these traditional ways of healing. And so that's what I'm excited most about, because people are like, man, did this just get invented? I'm like, no, like the Greeks use this, the Romans use this. There's so many different civilizations that have been using salt for hundreds of years.
And once you start to heal physically and relax, then you automatically get to the emotions. Then you can get to your mental state, because you're in a space where you can reflect and those things kind of just naturally pop out. And it's like, okay, I have to deal with this now. When your body heals, also when it's relaxing.
Yeah. So going into the Salt Lounge to get a service like Reiki, Akashic Records, chakra balancing would ideally be followed up with sitting inside of the salt room to really allow your body to integrate the lessons, right?
Yeah, so before we would kind of let people pick their individual things, but we understand that this is a lot. There's a lot to choose from. So we are moving towards, that's actually perfect that you said that, like our new direction and rebranding our business is, how do you want to feel? And in each experience with how do you want to feel, you'll either get an energy service and a salt room session, and also an energy report to help you understand why we're doing this. This is what we're doing. And actually relaxing and like reflecting on it as well. So it's a full holistic experience.
Yeah. And this salt is different from the table salt that you, right?
Not,
Because I feel like
yeah, we
we've
actually
demonized salt.
yes, it's like don't, and people come in, they're like, I have high blood pressure. Can I get in there? And it's like, this is not the same as that fake salt that's on the table or whatever that is on the table. I don't even know what that is anymore. Himalayan salt has minerals in it. It has like almost all the minerals that you need. And we actually have pharmaceutical salt that is dispersed while you're sitting in there. And that acts as a toothbrush for your insides. So you're getting it on the exterior and you're getting on the interior, and it's all good for you. Unless there's a few circumstances where you may have like something deeper going on where we're like, okay, this much salt is not good for you. But for the most part, it's great for pregnant women. All people can enjoy it. We have babies that go in there. It's so healing.
So last year during the pandemic, those in-person services had to be put on hold. And that's when I saw you both just go go straight into creation and really becoming resourceful. Tell us what that was like and what emerged from that experience.
If we're being honest, that was more like a trauma response because
Yeah.
it's so hard to get this, and just seeing that, well, one, we had been warned. When we were in the Akashic Records, months and months before that, we kept having visions of like a tree and the roots being deep in the ground, and there was like a storm going around it, but the tree was like rooted and would just sway. So we would always know like something's coming. We don't know what's coming, but something's coming, and we just have to stay solid and we'll be okay. But we were at a point because money was starting to run out. All these grants and all these wonderful things that are available now had not hit. And it was like, if we don't do something, we're going to lose this. We're going to lose this baby because it's all these things are going on. So what can you do? And we started of how can we help? And so by starting to how can you help and what do people need at this time, it was getting back to the basics and back to our workshops and back to things that people could actually use and be empowered by. And so we focus on like, how can you meditate? How can you protect your energy during this time with all this wild stuff on social media? All these mini classes, and just focus on the people. And it worked out for us.
Yeah, and I think also it's really cool to recognize just the power of just divine feminine energy. While Tanai was pregnant, I just kept feeling we're going through a period where after we give birth, we're going through a birthing season. I just kept seeing that in all of our readings where we're going to be birthing so many things. So that's going to be the best time to create. So if there's any pregnant women out there, you are like a creative vessel right now. So create anything you can, because it's amazing to see what you can create during this form of creation for you.
Don't execute, because that's more masculine energy. And that's what I had to learn. I wanted to like create and execute. But it's like, no, this is like an incubator and you're just nurturing, nurturing, nurturing. And then the time will come that you actually release it. So yeah,
we used a lot of that creative energy to just fuel us, you know, during the uncertain times. And we had fun doing it. I think creation is cool, but if you're not having fun while creating, that's where the off balance is. You got to have fun first and allow that creative process to naturally flow.
So focusing on people, what we wanted to do, having fun, it saved our business. It saved us because we didn't know what was going to happen.
Yeah. And I think when we were outside the business, we were able to be at home with each other and have fun. And that's what made the creating natural for us.
Yeah, that really helped us look at everything with a bird's eye view, because we were in the business 24/7. We were, the thing we have 5 people doing now, it was the 2 of us doing. And we were creating products, answering the phone, doing the energy work, every single inventory, finances, all the back end stuff. And so we didn't have time to reflect and see what the business needed and what it didn't need and what was working. It was just like, you're just going and you have to keep going. And so now with that time, we were able to actually step back and say, oh, a lot of these things aren't working. But now we've like kind of gotten the formula and see that this is how you can do it.
That question you asked yourselves, I feel, has been so pivotal into my own journey of healing my relationship with money, because it's not necessarily about the money. It's how is it that money can be the byproduct of my dharma. So how is it that I can be of service in these times? Because it's so easy for us to retreat and to become victims to our circumstances, to institutional racism, to capitalism, versus, okay, how is it that I can help to fill this gap right now? So tell us about these decks that have been birthed, and I guess like your own relationship with, how, like, healing your own relationship with money as you have many valleys.
Well, let's see. Where did it start? I think first recognizing that we did not have a good relationship with money at all. That was the first thing. How we felt, one, not being able to hold on to it. How we felt when we would spend it. How we felt when we would receive it. It was painful sometimes. It was aggravating sometimes. And we know that there was room for growth. And we wanted big money. And we're like, okay, if we can't manage this small amount of money without feeling some kind of way, then there's absolutely no way we can get to the big money. So we went in the records and they were like, you have to heal your relationship with money. And we started reading books and just thinking about, if we had a relationship with money, what would that look like? And it would be toxic as hell. I would be like strangling it. Please don't go. The obsessed girlfriend. I would just not be a healthy partner in a relationship with money. And that's where it kind of began. That's when we first realized that we need to do something about it.
So yeah, what we started doing was really just starting to have, we began to have more fun with money. You know, it's like money, you don't talk about it at the dinner table, you don't discuss it, but why not, right? So we started to have more fun with money. And what we started to do was we started to have what we call money fights, where we would get a lot of money together and we would throw it at each other. Like that's what we would do in our studio
apartment. We made like a sacred
apartment.
space, and we had like candles lit, and we like meditated, like, okay, we're intending to heal our relationship. And we took a bunch of ones out and just start throwing them at each other, like just having fun, because
dumping it on each other. And I mean, feeling it, really just like having it everywhere. Like I said, ones is fine because it's, at the end of the day, it's the paper that is the only thing that matters.
Mm-hmm.
But changing the relationship with money.
Like you can have fun with money, because we were entrepreneurs trying to make it work. Just moved to California. We were like, okay, this is getting a little tight around here. And that was always our energy around it. So if we could have fun, that is the beginning of changing. And as we were in the records, and we would start taking dollar bills or $100 bills or whatever it was, and just seeing, okay, this is the energy. What message do you have for me? And we actually found that we could get messages from the money, and money had specific money messages for us. So we started writing those down, and then also making note of the things that we did that made us feel good when we had money. And even if it's like feng shui things or anything that we felt would help. And we collected all that information and we made it into a beautiful deck. We have one right here. And it comes in this lovely money bag. Ooh. And it feels like money. We knew that it had to feel like high vibrational and make you feel like you had some money on your hands. So it's gold and green and beautiful. What? And there's money gems. So those are the channeled messages from the Akashic Records. There's practice items, where physical things that you can do to help you build your relationship with money. And then there's affirmations to change your mindset so that you feel comfortable with the energy of money.
Yeah. Channeling money is so much fun. At first, it was kind of like intense, like just connecting to the energy of it. It was just so big. It was like connecting with a mountain almost, but like you're this big. And so like after a while, the energy shifted and it was a lot more manageable because it was only a quick message at first. But now the connection has been strong enough where we've been blessed to create this deck. And so it's so cool to see how powerful money is, but in a positive way, just in an energetic realm. And when you get the deck, you feel it. As soon as you open the bag, like you feel that. And that was our goal. That was our mission.
And at first we had doubts because we're like, who are we to make a book or a deck or anything about money when we don't have money like that? Like, but it's about the healing journey, and it's about healing that. And by the time you get to where you need to, it's either going to flow or you're going to have it by then. And so it's just trusting that it's coming, but this is a part of the journey. Not somebody who already has it isn't going to read this book. They're going to be in the same position that you are in, and they're going to want to heal and start the journey as well. And just realizing, like, you don't have to be where you want to be you don't have to be the master of something to create something that will help somebody else.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people with money who are very unhappy. So if you do have a lot of money, still get this deck, because there's still healing work. Don't think because you got the bag already, you don't need it. Like, we are always working on ourselves. Just that's why we're here on earth, to grow, right? So this deck can help you no matter where your relationship is with money, whether you have the bag or you're working on it or whatever the case may be. If you want to connect to that energy of abundance, this deck is a good route to go.
The biggest lesson I have learned in my own money journey is that money actually amplifies that which hasn't been healed yet. Because, and I tell this story, especially to my students, it's like I was so caught up in, because I was also in fight or flight, right? Like me creating my business was a trauma response from me losing my job. And I just wanted to make as much as what I was making in my nonprofit, which was $30,000 a year. And then when I realized that you actually have expenses, that like 6 figures needs to be my minimum. And when I finally hit that, I didn't realize how much shame was in my body, because I didn't know what it was like to be responsible for that. And I had told myself this story that I'm not responsible, that I'm not worthy. And then when it actually came, then I needed to go back and do the inner healing work to feel in alignment, to feel good, to feel worthy. So most of us think that money is going to be the very thing that solves our problems, that's going to bring us our joy. But circling back to what you said in the beginning and throughout, it's when we give ourselves permission to be in that play, to be in that joy, that's when money and abundance starts to easily flow. But it's a lot easier when you actually have a product or a service to be able to share with people, which is why I want to see more of us, especially Black, Indigenous people of color, who are tapping into their own resources that is ancestral. It's already within us. Side note, I just read this other book called The Soul of Money, and it's written by a white woman. It's very like savior complex, but I love her concepts of money, because she just goes back to talking about how Indigenous people, they didn't have physical money, but they were always abundant and always resourceful. And money is just a skill that we haven't been taught. And so colonization has made us believe that it's evil, and we get to reclaim that. So you cannot leave this interview without pulling a card for me.
Okay, let's see what we get. Let's see. It's really not evil, because it's what you make it. If you feel like everyone that has money is evil, then why would you want to have it? But you determine the vibration of that. What do you have to do?
Not just for me, but for the collective. This is for everybody listening.
I got one for you, and then, which makes sense for your space, and then we'll do one for the collective.
Great.
Okay, we got a few popped out. Okay, so the first one for you, girlfriend, is living plants are great for growing wealth. Set an intention with your plants each time you water them. And you said you were doing something with your space.
Yeah, I feel called out because I don't have any plants in here, but the apartment I lived in before, natural sunlight, so everything died. And so I'm cultivating spaciousness to be able to include plants in here. Now that I have natural lighting, I don't have to stare at a selfie light all day.
Yay. So that's a wonderful. And we have 3 affirmations for the collective, which these kind of relate to what we were talking about. So the first one is what you were talking about. I make smart decisions with the money I am blessed with. So that's the first affirmation. It has the money on the back. And we sometimes just like to shuffle and pretend this is money and like pretend like we're just counting money all the time. The next one, I determine the vibration of the financial abundance I hold. So I was just talking about that one. Yeah, you decide what that money is going to do for you. And I welcome prosperity into my life. So you can just shuffle and say those to yourself. That can be your theme for the day. And or there's the channel messages in here, or the practice items. Maybe it's having those plants, or maybe it's having the color orange is great for money, or having orange fruit around welcomes abundance. All those things.
Yeah. And something I just want to share too with the group today is when you are making a purchase, it just kept playing through my head, share this. Next time you're at the store and you're making a purchase and the bill is not what you wanted to be, let's say it was a little higher than you anticipated. Before you squeeze your cheeks and hand your card over bent out of shape, take a moment and just feel some gratitude, because as you're making that exchange, that is a form of prayer. And so as you're paying that person and you're pissed off, damn it, I shouldn't have got those extra chips, whatever it is, that's expanding that energy. So just take a moment and just be grateful that you do have what you need to pay for what it is in that moment. And that's just gonna keep that energy flowing in your favor. So I use that all the time, just at the grocery store even. It's just a form of prayer. And as you're paying, just restating maybe the affirmation that you pulled today from the deck. And that's just an excellent way to really amplify that.
And one of my coaches told me, when you do come into that and you're like, oh, I have to pay for all these bills, like these are gifts that you've been given that you have the honor to pay for, and keep those luxuries into your life by paying those bills. So just coming from a place of gratitude rather than like, why me, or why does this have to happen? It's like, wow, I get to pay for this beautiful place that I live in, and I get to share this energy with other people who come visit me when you pay your rent.
Yeah, and especially when I am supporting another small business owner, I am a part of that currency, that energetic flow in which the resources get to stay within our communities. And I know that this money is going towards just like the expansion of the Salt Lounge. This is going towards y'all being able to have date night so that you can come back to us and serve from your overflow. It's also going towards you being able to hire a nanny so that you can show up to today's conversation just like not having to stress about like, how's our baby doing, right? And it's like, wow, it brings me so much joy to know that I can invest in our community healers, and that it is safe. It is so safe to be able to invest in your services, because it is a part of the collective healing and this consciousness, this expansion of like showing others who look like us that it is safe, it is okay. And when more of us step into this work, that this is our way of creating the community it is we want to see, and allowing that to ripple out into the whole freaking planet and into other realms.
Yes, it really builds community in like new ways for us that we've been learning, because like I said, we've been the ones like providing or like holding space, but it's like, no, we're supporting each other and through this, and like really honoring like that exchange in a way that's been different for us, or like just hustling. Like, no, it's about building together.
Yeah, so I always love to ask, what is it that you both are doing to stay grounded in these times, or as you have been expanding the Salt Lounge? And also, what is it that you learned to release on this journey?
Staying grounded. We have each other. That's one thing. And I think just the more I focus on myself, it sounds weird, but it's just like I've been somebody who just gives so much, and that really like drives me nuts after a while. I like feel it in my body, I feel it everywhere. So just like when I can focus on myself and just being present and spending time with my husband or with my baby, then that just like brings it all back down.
Yeah, and I'd say for me right now, just slowing down. It's like the energy just outside is just, it's fast. It's so fast. And so for me, instead of trying to keep up with outside's energy, just slowing down and taking my time. And for all the entrepreneurs listening right now, it's just important to slow down because prevents burnout. And I think that's the thing that we miss. You know, we try to go and do, but sometimes you just need to sit still and read a book today. And we get hard on ourselves because it's like, I can't sit and read this book, but that's exactly what you need in this moment. And so that's the easiest way for me to ground, especially right now, but it changes as the seasons change. It's like my grounding methods change. But in this moment, it's just really just slowing down and being present.
Yeah, and for releasing, I think going back to what you said of slowing down, I feel like as a collective, there's a lot of us, everybody's trying to find like where they want to help out, like trying to be everything for everybody and like, where's my place? And you don't have to be everything for everybody. Everyone has like their special gift and like what they need to nurture. You cannot be an activist for every single thing. Like you have to know like what's for you and like what your lane is and all of that stuff. So I'm just releasing, like trying to be everything for everybody. It's like, I know that maybe this isn't the time for me to help right now. This is the time I need to sit back and just nurture. And then I will jump in to serve those that I need to when it's my time. But you can't run the whole race and do the start gun and calculate this. You can't do everything. You have to just wait your time, do your thing, and then start that cycle over. So I'm releasing all of that.
Yes.
And I think for me right now, I'm just releasing I would say I've changed so much during the pandemic. I know we all have, but I'm physically releasing things that I no longer need that I thought I needed. So example is just like you mentioned, decluttering. That's been something that's like what I'm physically doing right now, releasing. And then taking my salt baths. That's something that I need to get back in the realm of doing. So like, I'm gonna hook our bathroom up and have like a little thing that makes me want to take more baths because that's something that helps me just release on a weekly basis. So creating the right rituals so I can keep doing the releasing work I need to do is something that I am in the process of working on.
Yeah. And to not feel guilty if you are doing absolutely nothing, because I feel like even for myself, the guilt settles in where it's like, okay, I'm lying in bed. I told myself that I was going to use this time to do nothing, but why do I feel so guilty about it? Which then defeats the purpose of doing nothing at all. And yes, embodying your medicine, the salt lounge, right? The other magical benefits I know of about salt is that, especially if you are somebody who is highly sensitive and you tend to take on other people's stuff as your own, the salt will help to extract that from your body while also giving you magnesium and all these other nutrients and minerals. And if you don't have a bath, even just through a foot soak, those benefits can happen. And of course, you can always go to the Salt Lounge in order to receive this medicine. So tell us a little bit more about how people can access your energy.
Well, you can come to the Salt Lounge here in downtown Long Beach. We are on Instagram, Facebook, the Salt Lounge LB, our personal pages. I'm Dopeness Divine on Instagram and Wes is King Wizard Energy. On our website, we have courses, we have products, so you can kind of get a little bit of it all, what you need. We also offer virtual services. So if you cannot physically come in or you don't feel comfortable yet, that's totally fine. You can get Reiki on the other side of the world. We teach Reiki through those digital courses as well, and you can get your deck or whatever you need. So
yes,
pretty accessible.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and link those notes, links to the show notes. My last question is, if y'all can envision yourselves as future ancestors, and speak to your present day selves, or even speak to the versions of yourselves who were just questioning, like, what the heck is going to happen next? what is it that you would say?
I would tell myself to just enjoy the ride. Like, none of this matters. Like, it's great. You're already in your purpose and you really don't have to do anything else. Like, just enjoy the ride and be present and experience all the things that you want to, because it goes by so fast.
I like that a lot. I think I would definitely tell myself to kind of a similar message, but just not be hard on yourself, because there was a version of you that dreamt of having these so-called problems that you have today. So not being hard on yourself, celebrating the ups and the downs, and like Tanai mentioned, enjoying the ride. I think for all of us, this is a hell of a time to be on Earth. Like, we chose to come to planet Earth 2021. You know what I mean? I think everyone deserves a pat on the back, straight up. So
right, like just showing up, like you've already done it. Like, you really waking up and showing up and doing the best you can. You don't have to do anything else. Like, that's all you're here to do. And if there's anything extra, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. But you just have to be, and that's all.
yeah, none of these times have ever been lived before. So having the answer for the next, 10 moves, it's just not what it's about right now. It's really just about being as present as you can and just being as gentle as you can with yourself during all these shifts. Because at the end of the day, I always feel like good is going to prevail. I always feel like the best possible outcome is going to prevail. So slowing down and just enjoying the journey, knowing that the best situation is going to come from that, is going to be the best thing you could do for yourself.
And y'all are already the living embodiment of these ancestors. So thank you so much for sharing your medicine today. For our listeners, come to Long Beach, come check out the Salt Lounge, and then also you can get your own services virtually at this point, because I'm sure you're already feeling it just from this conversation alone.
Thank you. This was so good.
Yes, thanks for having us.